A man slams his fist on the table, shouting "Rottmiller" in anger. The suited man calmly challenges the outburst, while the muscular man clenches his fist. The suited man adjusts his tie, analyzing the other person's reactions closely. The muscular man listens silently, knowing the other's manipulation won't be easy. With a confident smile, the suited man shifts tactics, planning a new approach. The man in brown calmly sips his drink while responding to the accusation. He gulps down the drink confidently, unbothered. A smug smile forms on his lips, showing amusement. He compliments the other man as too special, trying to disarm him. Meanwhile, the muscular man sits quietly while the others rest with their heads down. The man laughs while recalling a divine revelation story. The man in brown admits he once suspected the other of being an evil spirit. He reflects on how books portrayed evil spirits, but the warrior didn't fit that image. The warrior remembers the goddess's oracle and insists he saw the vision himself. The suited man smiles, realizing his narrow judgment and calling him special. Another man calls him a hero, humbly denies the praise. The warrior is called a hero, but he seems embarrassed and questions the reason. The suited man says he came to offer both a warning and advice. He explains that even trusted teammates might not understand or accept him. As he comforts the man, he points out how being special draws attention. The warrior listens quietly, realizing he must stay hidden to avoid danger. Bjorn reflects quietly, wanting to share something meaningful from his ordinary life. He stands before a statue, determined to survive no matter the cost. Misha nervously asks if she said anything strange while drunk. Bjorn avoids the question, brushing it off as nothing and walking ahead. Misha chases after him, flustered and demanding an answer. Bjorn and his group meet up with Kravitz and ask him to arrange a meeting with the draconic people. Bjorn decides to return a powerful sword in exchange for a reward through the temple. They arrive at the central trade market in Camelby for their purchases. Bjorn buys ingredients for a high-level spirit seal using a rare troll's heart. Misha excitedly buys a valuable sword, amazed at spending 12 million stones. Misha feels frustrated after spending most of her money on the sword. Bjorn advises her to invest in beast blood instead of saving, which surprises her. After shopping all day, they return to their neighborhood by sunset. Misha cheerfully says goodnight, but Bjorn calls her name as she walks away. He suddenly asks what she looks for in a teammate, catching her off guard. Misha nervously says she's fine with anyone as long as they're not fairies. Bjorn is surprised by her prejudice but quickly excuses himself. He leaves even though he still had things he wanted to discuss with her. At a restaurant, the staff reacts with confusion when Bjorn arrives unexpectedly. A beastman named Yandel recognizes Bjorn, while the waitress rushes to serve something nice. Bjorn chats with a beastman cook, who says he's just been busy with restaurant work. They sit down to eat as the cook assumes Bjorn left his old team. Bjorn confirms the team was disbanded, hinting at a loss. He quietly drinks, reflecting on the past while the mood turns somber. Brightening the mood, Bjorn orders more food, and the waitress cheerfully agrees. Yandel confirms the team members so far and says he'll look for a mage next. A knight explains the party needs high-ranking members and must follow temple missions. The waitress brings up the topic of share distribution, which excludes the scout. Bjorn slams the table, declaring himself a guide and demanding a bigger share. Yandel teases him, recalling how Bjorn got lost for 19 hours on the first floor. Bjorn realizes that Yandel, despite being a guide, has terrible navigation skills. Yandel's wife scolds him for loafing around, surprising everyone. She laughs joyfully, happy that her husband and Bjorn will be in the same party. Bjorn is confused to hear about Yandel's former party, which he never mentioned. He begins to doubt Yandel's reliability, feeling his expectations were shattered. A man asks Bjorn if he came for Kijiva's funeral, surprising him. Bjorn realizes it's already been half a year since a past event began. Another explains the funeral is a way to leave something meaningful for the future. The two arrive at the forest location, and the guide announces they've reached. Bjorn arrives at the ritual site and notices the ceremony has already started. He finds Einar sitting alone and looking upset under a tree. She quietly asks why he's there and regrets her decision to participate. Bjorn realizes she may not have fully understood what the ritual involved. Einar is shown undergoing intense physical training called tempering to strengthen her body. Einar collapses during harsh training, gaining the right to spirit succession. The ritual allows barbarians to inherit powerful essences from their elders. Bjorn tells Einar the elder must have truly valued her. She feels betrayed, wondering why no one explained the ritual's cost. In a vision or memory, Kijiva appears, smiling as he admits he was once a coward. Einar defends Kijiva, declaring he was fearless and deserves respect. The vice chief accuses Kijiva of cowardice for not explaining the ritual. Einar yells in denial, insisting she's not weak. Suddenly, she's struck hard across the face, blood splattering from the impact. The vice chief coldly questions her claim, asking, "You're not." The elder grabs Einar and commands her to honor Kijiva's death in silence. A bald warrior reminds her that pain is universal and urges her to move forward with strength. Einar stands silently, blood dripping from her face after the harsh encounter. A voice welcomes Bjorn and asks if he brought the necessary materials. Bjorn enters and admits he bought the ingredients instead of gathering them himself. The merchant mocks him, calling him lucky for being able to acquire such rare items. Bjorn clenches his teeth and firmly replies not to speak of luck without understanding his struggle. The masked figure teases Bjorn, asking if he's seeking a reward for something he lost. Bjorn avoids the question and insists on starting the spirit engraving. The masked man agrees, noting that loss can make a warrior stronger. He prepares the ritual as Bjorn braces himself. As the process begins, the system activates Undying Engraving Stage 6, boosting soul regeneration. The masked figure completes the ritual, embedding the soul of armament into Bjorn's body. Bjorn, drenched in sweat, realizes he's finally reached a major milestone. The engraving grants him the passive skill Union, which boosts gear based on his stats. This unique effect enhances equipment as Bjorn becomes stronger. As a hidden bonus, his gear grows in size along with him, syncing perfectly with his body. Bjorn celebrates that he can now grow giant without removing his gear. With his new power, he can wield an enormous mace and shield with ease. The next day, Bjorn wakes up, realizing he might have lost an entire day. He searches for the shaman, still groggy and confused. Someone nearby watches him, calling him warrior with a serious expression. The masked shaman is shocked to learn that Bjorn received an oracle from a human god. He points out that the ring Bjorn wears is bound to his fate. Bjorn anxiously asks if the chieftain will find out, but the shaman dismisses the concern. A legend is recalled, telling how their ancestors left their homeland under spiritual guidance. That journey, guided by the spirits, taught them the meaning of true civilization. The ancient records confirm the existence of gods as known through their ancestors. Bjorn questions the masked man's cryptic words, seeking clarity. The shaman argues that the gods of Lafdonia are real and should not be denied. He warns that if the chieftain discovered the oracle, he would see it as treason. A brutal vision follows Bjorn could be exiled, or worse, executed and burned. The shaman explains that other races abandoned outdated traditions long ago. He suggests Bjorn shouldn't fear exile, but instead take control of his fate. Bjorn realizes the old shaman, despite his wisdom, is still a barbarian at heart. The shaman offers a bold solution: Bjorn should become the new chieftain. Clad in tribal armor, Bjorn imagines the warrior's path of leadership before him. Bjorn smirks and calls the shaman's idea amusing, though secretly finds it tempting. As he walks through the forest, he starts planning his next move. He decides the first step is to gain supporters for influence. Even if he doesn't aim to become chieftain, power will still be useful. He finds Einar lying peacefully under a tree and remarks she stayed there the whole time. Einar wakes up groggily, surprised to see Bjorn nearby. Embarrassed, she claims the ground moved, confusing her. Bjorn checks on her, and she admits to feeling better but still slightly annoyed. She's thrown back into training, forced to carry a heavy stone again. Frustrated and struggling, she accuses her trainer of lying to her. Einar expresses frustration, feeling humiliated by her training and the lack of honesty. She notices Bjorn seems more somber and asks if something happened to him. Bjorn admits he feels that way because a teammate died. She gently asks if she can know more, sensing his pain. Bjorn quietly agrees, ready to share his story as leaves fall around them. Einar promises to remember the fallen teammate, wishing she could have met him. She stands and challenges Bjorn to a match, eager to prove her growth. She wants to see if she's strong enough not to hold him back. Bjorn realizes she may be interested in joining his new team. While the main roles are filled, the scout position meant for Bear Man is still available. Bjorn considers different team compositions, weighing pros and cons. He debates between double mage burst, ranged sustained damage, or melee DPS. His strategy shifts as he plans to include a mage in the team setup. Einar, ready for action, urges him to speak directly and make a decision. Bjorn smirks and tells Einar to give it everything she's got. Einar charges in with full strength, swinging her weapon overhead. Her attack crashes against Bjorn's shield with explosive force. Focused and relentless, she keeps striking without hesitation. Einar's combo lands multiple hits, forcing Bjorn to defend tightly. Bjorn's eyes narrow, realizing she's using a powerful skill chain. Her strength and speed have increased more than he expected. Bjorn activates his triple-stacked giant form to counter her. In the past, even a knight fled upon seeing this terrifying power. Bjorn braces himself, intrigued by what Einar will do next. Einar charges in fiercely, her eyes glowing with fierce resolve. Her next strike comes down with explosive force and precision. Bjorn admits he was saved by iron leather, though not unscathed. He stops the sparring, acknowledging Einar's solid effort. Despite her surprise, he confirms she passed the test. Einar excitedly asks to join the next mission. Bjorn jokingly asks for time to think, and she eagerly agrees even to wait 3 minutes. Einar tries to prove her patience by puffing her cheeks and holding her breath. Bjorn reflects on her potential, considering future team needs. When he calls her name seriously, she nervously urges him to continue. Bjorn formally welcomes her to the team, surprising her. Exhausted but relieved, Einar hears the final verdict she passed. With Einar's test complete, Bjorn thinks about finding a mage next. After confirming her success, Einar heads off cheerfully to pack her things. At the gates, Bjorn unexpectedly meets Karen, Tarson's son, who recognizes him with excitement. Karen invites Bjorn to help train young warriors, seeing that he has free time. Though Bjorn hesitates, Karen insists the trainees would be thrilled to see him. Bjorn sees training the youth as a chance to gain public support for becoming chief. He commands the trainees to shout that humans are enemies and their hearts must be hardened. The intense drill resembles brainwashing, but Bjorn believes it will improve their survival odds. Karen creepily swears he'll only associate with humans from now on, rejecting others. With a manic grin, he declares anyone showing their true colors deserves to have their head crushed. Karen proudly introduces Bjorn to the trainees, calling him the great warrior, Yandel's son. The crowd erupts, chanting his name and praising him with fiery enthusiasm. Despite knowing it's all due to brainwashing, Bjorn feels an uncontrollable thrill. He questions if he's truly becoming like the barbarians deep down. Accepting it, he declares he's just one of them now, joining their spirit. Bjorn leads a chant with the trainees, declaring the Explorer Guild as untrustworthy. Together, they shout warnings about encountering Hans in the labyrinth, urging to flee or die. Suddenly, something sharp cuts through the air. Bjorn senses intense bloodlust from behind and turns alert. A massive impact follows as someone crashes down violently, exploding the ground beneath. Bjorn confronts the chief with intensity, introducing himself as Yandel's son. The chief demands an explanation for the numerous complaints from the guild. Bjorn criticizes the chief for not teaching the warriors properly, challenging their morals. He questions the logic of killing humans for money instead of monsters. Passionately, Bjorn argues that only those who embrace survival over fear will become true warriors. The chief insists that only the strong who survive can become true warriors, using Bjorn as proof. Bjorn clenches his teeth in frustration, but admits the chief isn't wrong. He then reveals a grim reality: half of barbarians die during their first exploration. Of the rest, another half perish soon after, leaving 9 out of 10 dead. When asked if the death rate was always this high, the chief firmly says no, challenging the current system. The chief starts to justify the discrimination by saying mages want barbarian hearts, but Bjorn interrupts him with a loud no. Bjorn accuses the chief of doing nothing to prepare young warriors for the dangers of the labyrinth. He emphasizes the importance of teaching them about the monsters they'll face and how to react. The intense flashbacks highlight the deadly encounters young warriors had without guidance. The chief defends the outdated tradition of letting adult warriors fend for themselves, claiming he can't change it. The warriors shout in frustration, demanding the chief acknowledge their reality. They're no longer hunters, but prey in the labyrinth. One of them questions if this dangerous tradition was truly what their ancestors intended. Bjorn tries to reason with the chief, urging him to offer at least some protection or guidance. The chief interrupts firmly, calling Bjorn by name, his tone sharp and heavy. Bjorn suddenly questions himself, unsure if he crossed the line by challenging the chief so openly. The chief, growing defensive, demands Bjorn clarify his bold accusations. Bjorn clenches his fist, firm in his resolve, and declares that if the chief won't act, he will. He steps forward, shouting the chief's title, fully ready to take responsibility. Meanwhile, murmurs spread among the onlookers, sensing a major shift about to happen. Bjorn wakes up confused in the chief's tent, struggling to recall what just happened. He remembers the chief standing in silence after his declaration, tension thick in the air. Without warning, the chief swung his axe at Bjorn with full force. Bjorn activated giantification and fought back fiercely, barely avoiding a fatal blow. Though overpowered, he takes some pride in landing at least one solid punch during the clash. After being knocked out from the fight, Bjorn wakes up in the chief's tent and is surprised to see the chief up early. Despite the injuries, the chief jokes that his nose looks better than Bjorn's. When asked if he was mad, the chief calmly admits he never was, he just wanted to hit Bjorn for being annoying. He then questions Bjorn's motives for wanting his position, recognizing that Bjorn seeks it for the tribe's good, unlike others. The chief acknowledges Bjorn's selfless nature, comparing him to the previous chief who also prioritized the tribe above all. Bjorn asks about the sacred war, and the chief explains it began when a barbarian unknowingly picked up a divine relic in the labyrinth. The fairies believed the relic was stolen and captured the barbarian, which led to war. The former chief led the battle against the fairies for over a year until the royal family intervened. Both the warrior who found the relic and the former chief died during the war. The conflict worsened when the magic tower declared that barbarian hearts were valuable for magic, and the chief couldn't retaliate despite the insult. Bjorn questions why the chief never warned the young warriors about the world's dangers. The chief admits he feared doing so would only make them hate humans. He explains that the true threat isn't humans, but the plunderers among them, and the warriors wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Bjorn accuses him of being afraid of the royals, which the chief doesn't deny. A flashback shows the chief kneeling before the king, proving how deeply he understands the power the royals hold. The chief, visibly shaken, warns that if Bjorn ever comes face to face with the king, he'll finally understand his fear. A powerful silhouette of the king looms, revealing that even the fearless chief is terrified of the monarch's overwhelming presence. With a smirk, the chief adds a jab, reminding him that he was the one who struck first. As he steps out of the chief's tent, a crowd has already gathered, whispering about the fight. People are surprised to see him unharmed, joking about the chief getting a nosebleed. Einar rushes up, asking if he really fought the chieftain. Others express shock at the rumor that he declared he'd become the next chief. Calmly, he explains that the chief told him to grow stronger and prove himself, prompting someone to wonder if that means defeating the chief. Bjorn is asked what he told the chief, and he recalls responding that it wouldn't take long. On his way out, Bjorn meets Karen and clarifies that they shouldn't teach young barbarians to hate humans too much. Karen is surprised, questioning Bjorn since he once said humans are enemies. Bjorn explains not all humans are enemies. Some, like Dwarki, fought bravely alongside him. As Bjorn reflects, he acknowledges the chief's point and that his response was shaped by that understanding. Karen is touched by Bjorn's words and agrees that even among humans, there are noble warriors like Dwarki. Einar excitedly asks if they can share Dwarki's story with others, calling it a fantastic idea. Another man laughs off the notion, questioning if sacrifice alone makes someone a warrior. Bjorn defends Dwarki, insisting that dying to protect a comrade is the essence of a true warrior. Afterward, Bjorn arranges a nearby room for Einar, who is shocked and overjoyed by the luxurious setup. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Einar enthusiastically declares she'll follow Bjorn for life, leaping at him in excitement. She promises to do anything he asks, but he quickly reminds her to stay quiet since they're no longer in the sanctuary. Bjorn gently muffles her to keep her calm, warning her not to cause a scene. Suddenly, a girl with cat ears walks in, suspicious after hearing voices. Her expression sharpens as she questions who Einar is, while Bjorn freezes mid-explanation. Bjorn awkwardly introduces Einar as their new teammate, urging her to greet Misha Karlstein. Einar excitedly introduces herself, but Misha remains silent and suspicious. Misha pulls Bjorn aside, angrily questioning how someone like Einar could possibly be a barbarian. Despite Bjorn's calm reply, Misha gets worked up, pointing out Einar's petite appearance as contradictory. Before Misha can rant further, Einar dashes in, yelling Misha's full name with dramatic intensity. Einar explodes in anger, accusing Misha of insulting her for being short, while Misha panics and tries to clarify. Einar mocks Misha's tone, escalating the tension, and Misha nervously claims she only meant Einar looked cute. Overwhelmed by the argument, Bjorn quietly walks away, pretending to have injured his tongue. The next day, Bjorn visits a tea shop near City Hall to attend a monthly friendship meetup hosted by Shavin. Though the event doesn't suit him, Bjorn attends anyway, drawn in by Shavin's promise of useful information. Bjorn notices that Shavin seems unusually interested in getting him close to Ragna, hinting at a hidden motive. Ragna calmly offers Bjorn the same proposal as before, asking if he's considered becoming an explorer. Shavin instantly objects in shock, loudly protesting the idea and demanding Ragna reject it. Contrary to expectations, Ragna quietly affirms her decision, saying she won't be going anywhere. Accepting her refusal, Bjorn interprets her words as a definitive no to the offer. Ragna states that she enjoys working at the library, though Bjorn suspects there's more to her story. It's revealed that she's a powerful 5th tier mage, making her job choice as a librarian quite suspicious. When asked about the former mage in his party, Bjorn bluntly replies that the man died. The focus shifts to the real agenda, another recruitment discussion involving the magic tower. Raven reminds Bjorn of her conditions. All members must be at least tier 6, ideally with a priest. Raven, a 6th tier mage, asks for a status update on Bjorn's team composition. Bjorn starts by mentioning they lack a priest and introduces Misha, a tier 7 melee DPS expected to reach tier 6 soon. To reassure Raven, he emphasizes Misha's high essence rank, which catches her attention and approval. He adds that Einar has already cleared the Crimson Citadel with them, which requires no further explanation. When Raven asks about the final member, Bjorn reveals it's a man Urikfried, a 5th tier explorer from the Black Bear tribe. Bjorn explains that Urikfried is a ranged dealer with a massive crossbow and a tank summon, making him highly valuable to any team. Despite his strength, Raven questions why someone like Urikfried would join Bjorn's group, prompting Bjorn to note their existing connection. Bjorn assures her that Urikfried is trustworthy and not the type to betray his team. When Raven asks about a scout, Bjorn reveals Urikfried also serves as a guide. Raven is visibly shocked, realizing that having a guide boosts profit margins significantly, though she quickly downplays her interest. Bjorn highlights the benefits of joining his team, suggesting it would solve Raven's research funding problems. He confidently promises they'll reach at least the 6th floor, making the rewards worthwhile. With a guide in the party, he adds they'll be able to access hidden fissures and rare zones within the labyrinth. Raven seems intrigued and flattered, considering the offer seriously while blushing slightly. Just as she's about to agree, she adds a twist she'll join, but only under one condition. Raven sets her condition magic research takes priority over exploring, even if it means taking extended breaks. Bjorn is initially hesitant, but realizes her demand is reasonable and agrees without further conflict. With a handshake, they confirm their partnership as teammates. Erua Raven, a 6th tier mage of the Artemian school, is officially recruited. Bjorn awkwardly tries to bond with Ragna at the library, but her cold demeanor makes it difficult. Einar excitedly enjoys cotton candy, leaving Bjorn both embarrassed and speechless. Misha bumps into Einar at their apartment and is surprised to find out they're neighbors. Misha explodes in anger after learning a man secretly entered the labyrinth alone all this time. A man desperately begs for forgiveness, fearing for his life and bringing up their unborn child. The team is shocked by the domestic drama, with Misha furiously attacking him with a ladle. As time passes, a mysterious moment returns marking day 15 of an impending event. The protagonist logs into a secret online community, urgently seeking information about Oracules. He realizes he only has 12 hours to gather what he needs. His survival now depends on it. Library research proves too slow, so he resorts to online sources for faster, more updated intel. Just as he posts his request, a mysterious user named Korean Independence Force enters the chat. Hyunhee-young shouts dramatically, overwhelmed with emotion as he greets Hansoo. He scolds Hansoo for being late by exactly 3 minutes and 28 seconds, worried something had happened. Embarrassed, he admits Hansoo is the only one who listens to him talk about idols, politics, and military prisons. Hansoo tries to calm the situation, but realizes expecting normal behavior from this guy is pointless. Narration reveals that Hyunhee-young, the most unlucky guy pulled in on discharge day, is overly clingy and emotionally intense from the start. The narration reveals that despite his silly behavior, the soldier has survived in this world for nearly 10 years, making him a veteran. Hansoo becomes cautious, realizing he can't trust someone just because they're both Korean. Hyunhee-young cheerfully greets Hansoo again, claiming he only came to hang out as promised. He tries to start a conversation about a K-pop album, but Hansoo steers the topic toward military stuff instead. Confused, Hansoo wonders how someone in public service knows so much about military life. Hyunyoung tries to switch the topic back to idols, but Hansoo admits he doesn't know much about them. Shocked, Hyunyoung insists Hansoo looks like someone with an idol face, causing confusion. Hansoo laughs quietly, and Hyunyoung asks why their chat felt amusing. Hyunyoung admits that for a moment, their interaction made him feel like he was back in Korea. Hansoo nods slightly, understanding the feeling even if he doesn't fully say it. The two continue chatting casually, joking about games and topics from their old life. Hansoo jokes they'll need to visit the psych ward after returning, hinting at how much they've changed. He reflects on how paranoia dominates their interactions, always questioning if others are threats. Taking a darker turn, he admits that killing has become as normal as playing a game. As he breaks down, the light tone disappears, replaced by the heavy weight of their trauma. Hansoo reassures the soldier that he'll adjust again, just like he did before. The soldier admits he's grateful, but questions whether he really wants to return to his old life. He confesses it's not because he likes this world, but because he finds purpose and laughter in it. Hansoo reflects on the idea of faith and how hearing it feels oddly out of place in this world. Choosing caution, he decides not to act yet and focuses on gathering more information first. Hansoo brings up a mysterious group named Orquelles, prompting the soldier to suddenly act cautious. The soldier questions Hansoo's interest, which feels odd given how open he was in the past. Hansoo speculates that Orquelles might have stolen the Genesis relic needed for the final floor. The soldier, slightly relieved, admits he once had the same suspicion. Hansoo tries to stay calm, realizing this conversation is more delicate than expected. 6 months ago, the Genesis relics were stolen from all 6 races on the same day. The soldier confirms he investigated the theft but found no clues, suggesting even Orquelles couldn't have done it. Hansoo briefly suspects the soldier might be the mastermind, but dismisses it after hearing more. The soldier asks Hansoo to share any leads, emphasizing the relics may be the only way home. He then reassures Hansoo, saying he never saw him as a rival, he just felt he was special from the start. Hansoo is stunned by how confidently the soldier talks about needing 10 more years to find the Genesis relic. Despite claiming he's reached his peak, Lee Bi-ko shows no signs of giving up, impressing Hansoo with his mental resilience. The conversation shifts to new intel Hansoo found regarding the underground city Nork and its revolutionary origin. He learns that the Ormi Revolutionary Front from a game event was responsible for founding Nork. A looming threat is revealed. The royal family might send an army against the Nork-Orquelles alliance, all sparked by Dragonslayer's blunder of kidnapping and losing the High Priest. Hansoo asks for clarification about the lost High Priest, but the soldier admits even he doesn't know the full story. It's revealed that Dragonslayer lost his memory without any head injury, which raises suspicion. A letter from the High Priest somehow surfaced and was delivered to the temple, exposing everything. With Nork breaking the pact first, a punitive army is likely, but the soldier warns Hansoo not to get involved no matter what. Before Hansoo can react, the soldier abruptly disappears, leaving him confused and concerned. After Bi-ko vanished, Hansoo returned to his room to reflect and process everything. He realized that once the temple investigates the letter, his identity will eventually be exposed. Despite using the ring to stall, Hansoo knows it only buys limited time before he's found out. Fearing that the entire Orquelles group might become hostile, he obsessively continues researching potential threats. As the clock ticks past 3:09 am, Hansoo braces himself. He knows the critical moment is fast approaching. Hansoo intentionally arrives with only a minute left, emphasizing his flair for dramatic timing. Inside the meeting hall, Masked figures wonder if he's skipping this session entirely. One of them, confused by the fearful chatter, asks who Hansoo even is. A cautious member warns that Hansoo's killing intent alone is enough to unsettle anyone. While one dismisses the concern, believing they're strong enough to handle it, unease lingers in the room. The room falls into tense silence as masked members react to an unexpected arrival. Each figure, wearing a distinct and elaborate mask, shows visible discomfort. The man breaks the silence with a chilling greeting, addressing someone as Inquisitor. The mention sparks unease, and the others glance nervously at one another. Whatever history they share with the Inquisitor, it clearly left a deep impression and possibly fear. The man nervously greets the newcomer, trying to assert authority by pointing out his seniority. In an instant, the newcomer unleashes a terrifying pressure, overwhelming the wolf man with sheer dominance. The brutal aura slams him to the ground, leaving him gasping and begging for mercy. The other masked members look on silently, clearly expecting this ritualistic show of force. The newcomer coolly reflects that he may be the newbie, but in this twisted hierarchy, dominance must be re-established. The masked man in blue expresses disappointment, having expected more from the new arrival. The beaten wolf man gasps for breath, humiliated in front of the others. The clown figure playfully assures the group that things are about to get interesting. Sitting calmly, the Inquisitor in blue acknowledges the seriousness of the situation with a subtle shift in tone. As the time limit hits, the masked members sit silently around the circular table, ready to begin. The goblin man is still slumped over, shaken from the earlier confrontation. The clown mocks him for collapsing so easily despite going easier than last time. Others casually agree that things weren't as rough, with one saying they managed just fine this time. Despite the mockery, the mood shifts into a more serious tone as the real meeting is about to start. The protagonist reflects on the killing intent he used, which took training and observation to master. The goblin man apologizes, claiming he's recovered and ready to proceed. The clown proposes starting with Mr. Goblin and going around the table, saving the Inquisitor for last. The protagonist notes that the goblin is clearly the weakest among the group. As the stained glass light shines in, the first round of the mysterious gathering begins. The goblin man reveals that the high priest Ludwig was kidnapped and used by the Orquelles group. The protagonist is surprised and wonders if the speaker is a priest. A large crystal in the center of the table glows as it's revealed that many members already knew this information. The fox woman advises the protagonist that only extraordinary intel will impress key members like the lion and the clown. The lion man notes this news could shift political power to the royal family, while the protagonist realizes only a few hadn't known yet. The clown reminds everyone to be cautious since there's a newcomer present. The fox girl apologizes, saying she only spoke up to defend the goblin. Internally, the protagonist reflects that he misjudged the clown as someone who always acted with a plan. His suspicions grow maybe the clown deliberately gave away information to avoid revealing his true identity. The protagonist suspects that the clown is affiliated with either the temple or the underground city based on his knowledge. Trying to shift the topic, the goblin man blurts out that the goddess of the stars gave a prophecy. The dear woman is shocked that even the holy knight didn't know about it, implying how tightly the temple guards information. The goblin man gets flustered when scolded for revealing too much, insisting he's still new. Meanwhile, the protagonist silently observes and notes that the goblin likely belongs to a holy knight. The fox girl reveals that rare double-number crystals will appear in next month's sky auction, prompting the protagonist to seek access quickly. The deer man states that the royal family is preparing to launch an attack on Nork. The moon man adds that the dragon slayer's gear has surfaced on the black market, proving Beak Ho's earlier claims were true. The protagonist deduces that the dragon slayer was defeated and looted after the incident, explaining the missing sword. A flashback to Biko reinforces that the Dragon Slayer mysteriously lost his memory, possibly during that same ambush. It's confirmed that the Dragon Slayer really lost his memory, likely due to a drug he was given. The Lion Man suspects the attacker not only drugged him, but also looted and sold all his equipment. As the meeting progresses, the Clown Man offers the Inquisitor the chance to speak first. The Inquisitor declines with a sharp tone, insisting the clown skip the pleasantries. Internally, the clown panics, fearing that if his info is boring, the Inquisitor may not return in the future. The clown announces a shocking prophecy. A binding magic for 6 people will be released within the next 3 years. The statement stuns the entire table, with even the composed members visibly shaken. The fox girl notices the gem glowing green, confirming the clown isn't lying, or at least believes what he's saying. The deer man is shocked, realizing that such magic could radically shift power among the guilds, clans, and royal family. Internally, the Inquisitor reflects on how massive this change could be if it actually comes true. The narration explains that the new binding magic would revolutionize party formations, allowing previously impossible synergies. With this change, the odds of beating the game would increase dramatically, making extreme modes more accessible. The clown proudly asks for feedback, clearly fishing for compliments. The Inquisitor smirks, amused, and labels the idea genuinely interesting despite the clown's theatrical delivery. As the Inquisitor's turn begins, the pressure rises, and he debates what intel to share. The Lion Man reflects on how everyone seems to be revealing their hand. The clown mentions a new holy relic has been born, surprising everyone. The announcement is tied to a prophecy, escalating the room's tension. Enraged, the goblin shouts, demanding to know how the Inquisitor learned something he didn't. As round 2 begins, the masked members of the round table prepare to share their intel. The girl in the fox reveals a valuable detail about the auction's double numbers item. The man with antlers follows up with political intelligence regarding the royal family. The goblin nervously offers temple-related information, but it's dismissed as repetitive. Finally, the Crescent Girl exposes a scandal involving a fairy heir who lost their title due to a serious offense. The clown takes his turn and starts by explaining that their masks reflect their fates. He claims his own role represents weakness mixed with opportunism, which draws scorn from Mr. Goblin. Other members react to his commentary with annoyance, though some acknowledge his insight. Ultimately, the clown shares Explorer Guild information, which is accepted without protest. Meanwhile, the Inquisitor silently decides to drop a shocking revelation: the Resurrection Stone is real. The room falls into stunned silence after the Inquisitor reveals the Resurrection Stone is real. Just as the dramatic tension peaks, the goblin awkwardly asks what a Resurrection Stone is. The clown and others react in disbelief, realizing not everyone even knows its significance. It's explained that the Resurrection Stone is a legendary item, nearly impossible to obtain, known for reviving the dead, found only once in 9 years by Hansoo. The hooded man urgently asks if the Resurrection Stone can truly bring someone back, desperate for details. The Inquisitor coldly shuts him down, saying he's already shared one piece of information. The others are caught off guard by how quickly the tone shifts from intrigue to tension. Internally, the Inquisitor struggles with what to say, trying to maintain his persona as a bored and jaded eccentric. His thoughts flash to a dark image, revealing that even he isn't sure what he's truly after, only that it's tied to something dangerous. The Inquisitor reflects on how his edgy persona works. It lets him dismiss anything uninteresting as boring while still collecting valuable intel. His strategy is to bluff confidence so others feel pressured to impress him, unknowingly feeding him information. As tension lingers, one member wonders aloud what it would even take to impress someone like him. With Crescent left speechless and the room falling quiet, the intense round table meeting finally comes to a close. As the meeting concludes, the Inquisitor prepares another excuse to exit, already anticipating the next gathering. The Goblin Mask Man speculates aloud that the Inquisitor might actually be one of their own, shocking the others. Flashbacks reveal that even within the Holy Order, fewer than 10 people know about the prophecy, making this claim alarming. The clown challenges Goblin's logic, questioning the importance of the Inquisitor and mocking the simplicity of his assumption. Despite the confusion, Goblin insists his theory makes sense, given how little time has passed since the prophecy was first revealed. The clown slams the table in frustration, calling the Goblin pathetic for not considering the Inquisitor might be one of their enemies. As the Goblin defends himself, he insists that only someone chosen by the goddess can hold the Inquisitor's position, seeking validation from the others. The Fox and other members remain silent, causing the Goblin to panic and question if everyone agrees with the clown. Meanwhile, the Deer Mask Man reflects on the Inquisitor's calm and calculating nature, realizing he's not just a wild card. He concludes that the Inquisitor may already have known about the plan to suppress Nork, hinting at his deeper involvement. The Fox speculates that the Inquisitor might be connected to the royal family, while the clown suggests he's likely killed thousands and shows no interest in power. The Crescent Mask Man nervously wonders if the Inquisitor already knows who they all are, hinting at a deeper threat. The Lion recalls how the Inquisitor looked directly at him before mentioning the Resurrection Stone, making it feel intentional. Despite these suspicions, the Goblin tries to dismiss the theory, calling it a coincidence. Still, a lingering thought remains: what if the Inquisitor already knows their pasts, even without them speaking a word? Here are 5 recap sentences for this scene. The group continues discussing the Inquisitor, with the Fox girl realizing the lion mask might hint at his personality. Deer Mask Man links the Resurrection Stone to something the clown said, implying a deeper connection. A flashback shows the idea of lions pushing cubs off cliffs to toughen them, symbolizing the Inquisitor's possible background. The clown jokes about the Inquisitor being a king of beasts, hinting he could rise to a powerful role someday. Others note he doesn't seem like a follower, suggesting he's someone meant to lead whether by fate or force. The Goblin Mask Man reflects aloud, connecting the lion imagery to myths like Hercules and the meaning of Singapore. As he watches the lioness's rest, he awkwardly considers a more superficial interpretation about polygamy. The table falls into silence, with everyone unsure how to respond to his strange train of thought. The scene transitions to a tavern in District 7 as evening falls, moving the story forward from the round table. The newly formed team gathers for a meal, sharing food and friendly conversation. As they discuss how to split the loot, tension arises when the suggestion favors Anner. Bjorn points out that while Misha might deserve equal share, Anner contributed the least. Hurt by the remark, Anner dramatically accuses Bjorn of betrayal and shouts emotionally. Before things escalate, another teammate quickly silences her to calm the situation. The team continues their meal, and despite earlier tension, most members laugh it off while leaving the decision to Bjorn. One of the girls highlights her value as a mage, pointing out she can produce and sell essences using her skills. She openly requests at least 30% of the loot, citing veteran standards as her reasoning. Bjorn silently reflects, suspecting those so-called veterans might be joining weaker teams on purpose. Raven questions whether she's being underestimated, despite being a high-tier mage. A flashback proves her skill, showing she cast a powerful 6th tier spell. Bjorn proposes loot distribution. Raven and Kalstein get 20%, but Raven receives 40% of magic-related loot. He reassures them that no one will be treated unfairly and clarifies each member's importance to the team. Although initially surprised, Abman agrees to the plan, and Raven quietly accepts it too. The team finalizes their loot distribution, with Bjorn's plan ensuring everyone gets a fair share based on contribution. Raven begins listing 31 more logistical items, catching the team off guard with her thoroughness. The group debates various rules about registration, monthly funds, and loot conditions. Despite the overwhelming list, the mood remains light as the members respect each other's boundaries. As the night gets late, Raven suggests pausing the discussion, and Bjorn agrees, asking when they'll continue. 2 days later, Bjorn reflects happily on his decision to become a barbarian. The team finishes registration early and returns to their lodging, all visibly tired. As Bjorn prepares to rest, he notices a sealed letter at his door. Recognizing the seal of the Rootless Church, he immediately senses its importance. Bjorn guesses the letter is related to his request for a meeting with the Dragonkin, since he returned the Dragon Slayer sword. As Bjorn opens the letter, a summoning spell activates, engulfing him in magic light. He's transported through a spatial spell linked to the letter, landing in a mysterious chamber. Looking around, Bjorn questions if he's arrived at the Temple of the Dragon. A voice informs him that he's not the first barbarian to be summoned there. As dark energy surrounds him, Bjorn braces himself, startled by what's to come. Bjorn stands before a towering statue as a terrifying dragon spirit looms over him, its presence crackling with dark energy. A mysterious dragon-horned figure watches calmly, hinting that if Bjorn survives the ordeal, he'll be the first ever to do so. A hand grips a weapon tightly, ready for danger. A blonde girl in uniform sits calmly, speaking to someone beside her. She warns not to act recklessly and mentions casting a spell. A man lying injured listens carefully to her words. The scene shifts to a cave entrance where enemies lurk in the shadows. The man analyzes the situation, noting their opponents likely used stealth. He realizes detection magic is being used to track them. The blonde girl admits her magic is currently active to conceal them. He concludes the enemies are still nearby, waiting for the right moment. Suddenly, masked assassins leap out and attack fiercely. The man charges forward, striking with force. The girl dodges and shouts in shock at his reckless move. A masked enemy glares sharply, preparing to counterattack. A blonde girl panics, asking if it's an enemy. Misha looks around in shock, unsure of what's happening. A bearded warrior frowns, questioning if there's really an enemy. A sudden attack strikes, and someone shouts Raven's name. The masked enemy lunges quickly, aiming to kill Raven. Raven reacts, narrowly dodging the deadly strike. The assassin vanishes again, slipping back into hiding. Raven holds the blonde girl protectively, telling her to calm down. A blonde man orders everyone to prepare for combat. The group regroups, realizing someone just tried to kill Raven. The blonde girl focuses, saying the enemy is not showing up on her detection spell. She then confirms Raven is gone, unable to locate him at all. The warrior orders them to keep casting until the enemy reveals himself. The group confirms they've only detected one so far. They stay focused, waiting for him to appear. Time passes as they remain on alert inside the dungeon. The enemy is taunted, being told he can't escape forever. Suddenly, the detection spell reacts at the dungeon door. A figure is exposed by the magic, revealing the hidden assassin. The warriors recognize him and call him a rat. The assassin narrowly dodges an attack and retreats quickly. Misha shouts in frustration, realizing he's running away. Raven tells everyone not to panic and to prepare their gear first. They notice the enemy fled into a sealed passage, making escape impossible. A soldier inspects an expandable backpack left behind by the enemy. Raven notices the assassin had hidden dangerous bombs inside it. They realize how lucky they were that Raven sensed the trap. The group prepares to move forward once everything is packed. One of them insists on going first in tight formation. Suddenly, a glowing sword appears, catching the soldier off guard. He grits his teeth, realizing the enemy had planned this. Raven orders everyone to enter together while she maintains the detection magic. A swarm of monsters rushes out from the glowing portal. They prepare to fight, planning to clean up the creatures first. After the battle, the group notices a suspicious corpse nearby. Raven examines it and confirms the faint mana signature matches the enemy she sensed earlier. The soldier curses in disgust, realizing it was suicide. A memory flashes of the enemy begging desperately for his life. They notice the man carried no ID badge in his belongings. This makes them suspect he never had one to begin with. Raven checks on a comrade, asking if they're all right. Suddenly, a foul stench overwhelms Raven mid-chant, making her gag. The blonde suggests they should just rest and finish sleeping. The group settles down, trying to regain some peace. Misha wonders aloud what the assassin's true motive was. They consider two possibilities: either the Dragonslayer sent him, or the regional leader. The lack of trace and ID badge makes the regional leader seem even more suspicious. The group rests around a campfire, finally getting some sleep. The blonde girl shifts uncomfortably in her sleep. Yandel quietly keeps watch, noticing her movements. She calls out to him, asking if he's awake. Yandel answers calmly, saying he is. She wonders aloud what would have happened if she hadn't used detection magic earlier. Yandel replies that if they were unlucky, more people might have died. He reassures her, saying it's not always so brutal. The girl recalls hearing stories about the tragedies of fighting half-ogres. The narration shows the group experiencing a rare, beautiful scenery on the third floor. She admits she wants to see such beauty again next time. Finally, she drifts into peaceful sleep, while Yandel promises to wake her before midnight. The next morning, Raven wonders who the mysterious man really was. The group discusses moving slowly through the dungeon. Bjorn mentions they'll find out the truth eventually. The blonde girl asks how many coins their current loot would get them. Raven estimates it could be worth millions. Yandel recalls getting a basic appraiser's badge some time ago. They note it's different from an official appraiser's tool. Misha encourages Yandel to stop downplaying his abilities. Yandel admits he doesn't like flaunting his strength in front of everyone. The group pushes forward through the dungeon passage. Raven times their progress, noting it took them over 4 hours. She studies a magical pocket watch, realizing it will shrink with time. Raven checks the pocket watch, noting 3 hours and 59 minutes. The blonde girl jokes that Raven suddenly jumped to this time. By day 12, the group finally felt it was safe enough. They slept peacefully without setting a night watch. Eventually, they reached the 104th stage of the dungeon. Bjorn smiles proudly, realizing smashing traps is faster than disarming them. He declares that traps are meant to be destroyed, not carefully undone. Raven admits it took about 12 days to reach this point. The group reflects that their pace wasn't bad at all. Misha laughs, saying they might be the only team with a barbarian guide. Bjorn, feeling determined, says it's his time to step up. The narration explains that from the 150th floor onward, adventurers earn extra rewards and tougher challenges. The group wonders which door they should open next. They decide to choose the Stairway of Courage. Another choice reveals the Stairway of Wisdom glowing brightly. Once again, they step into the Stairway of Courage. At the final door, they prepare for the dangerous path ahead. The party stays cautious, knowing the risks of moving forward. Yandel says he's fine with either choice and keeps his focus. He recalls that usually less than half survive past this stage. Suddenly, a massive troll appears, roaring menacingly. Raven explains trolls are brutal and extremely tough to fight. Bjorn powers up, casting both giant form and savage eruption. Facing the troll head-on, he challenges it with the words, "Come at me." The troll roars in pain as the battle intensifies. Bjorn charges forward with full force. The troll swings its massive arm to counterattack. Bjorn strikes its shoulder with a heavy blow. He uses his skill swing to deal powerful damage. The troll reels back, wounded but still dangerous. Misha jumps in to support with her own attack. The blonde warrior, Einar, follows up with swift slashes. She activates her skill-repeated slash for multiple quick strikes. The troll's tough hide resists, forcing her to push harder. Bjorn shouts her name in concern as she takes a hit. Einar smirks confidently, brushing it off despite the impact. Einar insists she's fine, even though it looks like internal damage. She activates her skill vitality drain to heal while fighting. Her regeneration increases as she continues attacking. The narration notes her potential as a sub-damage tank. Yandel admits he wanted to see how the two women could handle themselves. The bearded man steps forward, asking if he can finally join in. Einar yells back that she's not a young lady. The man charges forward with quick, heavy strikes. He creates an opening as the troll stumbles backward. Yandel signals that now is the perfect time to strike. Together, the team lands powerful blows, overwhelming the troll. The troll activates hyper-regeneration, trying to heal its wounds. Yandel says there's nothing more to see now. Someone quickly shouts for him to wait. Raven prepares her spell, annoyed at being called a young lady again. She casts 5th-tier divine magic, Lightning Spear. A massive bolt of lightning strikes down with destructive power. The troll is overwhelmed and crashes to the ground. The group stands together, confirming the troll has been defeated. Misha looks down, her expression softening as something weighs on her mind. Yandel realizes she's thinking the same thing he is. Images of past figures and enemies flash through their thoughts as they move forward. Yandel reflects, saying they engrave the past into their bones and keep moving forward. With determination in his eyes, he quietly affirms, "Yeah." The party stands together before the glowing portal, ready to begin a true expedition. The narration marks it as day 18, around 7 am. The party steps onto the 5th floor, called the Grand Demon Realm. They see a vast encampment filled with other explorers. Einar looks around uneasily, asking what this strange atmosphere is. The oppressive environment makes several newcomers visibly nervous. The map reveals dangerous areas named Hellfire Ravine, Frost Ravine, and Wrath Ravine. It warns that no safe zones exist here except at the starting point. A notification announces their achievement for reaching the 5th floor. Their soul power increases permanently, marking this as a baptismal event. Raven explains it isn't an advancement, but a mental strengthening. She clarifies that while mages can't consume essences, their mana still increases with a decent boost. Misha reflects that she should have come here earlier, like the seniors suggested. A memory shows a senior encouraging them to dive sooner for faster growth. Yandel admits something feels off despite the progress. He notices there are far too many people gathered here. The clans that should have left long ago are still lingering. Someone calls out, recognizing Yandel's group. Another adventurer asks if they were ambushed on the 4th floor too. Raven realizes they weren't the only ones attacked by the masked enemy. Yandel explains their team only survived thanks to sheer luck. They hear that the enemy is suspected to be a high-ranking mercenary. Yandel thanks the adventurer and says he'll share any new info through Artemin. The group decides there will be no changes, they will continue the expedition as planned. Raven asks if it's really safe with so many clans roaming the labyrinth. Yandel reassures her it will be fine since no one would dare start trouble here. He says they need to earn as much as possible while they can. The party enters a special area known as Hellfire Ravine. The field effect raises heat, lowers fire resistance, and increases resource costs. The group feels the scorching temperature as soon as they step in. Raven casts 8th grade enchantment magic, Cold Blood, to resist the heat. She breathes easier as her fire resistance greatly increases. She then casts 7th grade support magic, Frost Imbue, coating their weapons in frost. Suddenly, Ifrit monsters made of flames appear to attack them. The party braces as powerful fire enemies rush toward the group. The fiery Ifrit monster charges with overwhelming power. Raven casts his Fest, Rapid Freeze, to counter its flames. A massive blast of ice collides with the burning creature. The impact shatters into an explosion of frost energy. The Ifrit collapses, defeated, granting experience points. A notification shows the character has leveled up and gained soul power. Yandel looks on in shock, realizing that was truly an Ifrit. More Ifrits appear ahead, their fiery presence filling the path. Another group of adventurers debates whether to finish them quickly. Their leader stops them, telling them to wait. Suddenly, ice magic surges forward, surprising everyone as they turn in shock. An adventurer grabs a glowing essence from the defeated Ifrit. Yandel realizes what it is and reacts with alarm. The item is revealed to Befrit's essence, grade 5. The group looks uneasy as the man stares at the essence greedily. He smirks, clearly tempted by its power. Another adventurer steps forward, calling him Mr. Nebo. Nebo brushes them off, saying he'll handle this himself. Yandel warns him about breaking the code by stealing someone else's essence. Nebo laughs it off, comparing it to fighting more humanoid monsters. He grins at Yandel, asking if he still wants to go through with this. Tension rises as the groups face off over the Ifrit's essence. Yandel warns them to back off, calling it his final warning. Nebo mocks him, pretending to be scared but refusing to yield. He smirks, realizing Yandel won't back down. Yandel firmly says if Nebo wants it that badly, he'll have to see how it ends. Yandel decides to take the essence for now, even if it must be destroyed later. Suddenly, Raven steps in, telling everyone to stop. She urges them to put their weapons down before it escalates further. Nebo curses, frustrated, and finally agrees to stop. The narration notes how unusual it is for Yandel to display such anger so openly. Meanwhile, Raven introduces herself formally as Ardia Raven of the Artemian School. Raven challenges the opposing group, reminding them the essence belongs to those who killed the monster. The opposing leader insists it's custom to claim it, but Raven dismisses the excuse. She says the committee would treat this as theft and call for a formal hearing. Her calm confidence makes the others uneasy. Nervous, the leader stammers, realizing he's cornered. He suddenly throws up his hands, saying he'll give up. He claims he never liked doing this kind of thing anyway. His followers protest, but Raven firmly says the essence is theirs. Yandel suggests they head back to camp after the standoff. Suddenly, one of the enemy's blades moves on its own, stabbing its wielder. Yandel notices something is wrong, realizing the blade is moving under someone else's influence. It's the 21st day in the labyrinth, 4 days into the 5th floor, and exploration has been uneventful aside from Einar leveling up. Yandel thinks he never believed in jinxes until he met those troublesome people. He imagines a memory of them causing chaos and angrily questions what trouble they'll bring him next. Raven notices his frustration and reminds him he might break his pen, but he calmly replies that he's just working on the map. Yandel studies the rough map, determined to keep practicing and improve next time. He admits it isn't really tough, though others think it might be. Another teammate says making the map feels like both a hassle and fun, giving a sense of progress. The group regroups, ready to move forward while discussing whether to follow the same path again. The group complains about clans hogging the hunting grounds, leaving too few monsters to fight. They express frustration, realizing they can't battle against the majority of clans dominating the area. Narration explains they were blocked from multiple fields for days, forced to pay just to hunt once. Farming resources like essences or mana stones has become nearly impossible, worse than in the game. Despite the struggles, one resolves to endure setbacks, determined to grow stronger. The narration reveals that there are always many ways to improve, no matter the obstacles. A blonde girl smirks and asks if they know something important. She explains that while ordinary people think fighting monsters is hardest, real explorers would give a very different answer. Life as an explorer is plagued by darkness, restless nights, and filthy conditions. The struggles of exhaustion and discomfort weigh heavier than expected. The blonde girl explains that while lower floors are manageable, the hardships worsen higher up. She adds that many explorers even find this lifestyle tougher than actual combat, leaving others in thought. On the 22nd day, the group defeated 8 hellhounds before resting. It was mentioned that large clans usually rest in the city after big expeditions. The blonde girl suggested having a proper meal cooked with fire instead of jerky. After some hesitation, the armored man agreed to her idea. The armored man worried that cooking would spread smells and attract monsters. The blonde girl explained she could mask the scent with magic. Misha cooked a tomato stew filled with meat. Everyone enjoyed the meal, and one even jokingly proposed to Misha. Misha felt embarrassed as the others praised her food too much. A man sniffed the air, noticing there was barely any smell. The blonde girl explained she used air control and combustion magic to remove it. Proudly, she declared herself competent and meticulous. The group encouraged the others to eat while they took the watch. The stew simmered, filling the air with warmth. One of them thought it'd be nice if the enemy appeared before they finished eating. They praised the food, teasing Misha that it's no wonder others wanted her as their bride, leaving her flustered. While eating, one of them awkwardly admitted he wanted the food regularly. Suddenly, the black moss nearby began to disappear. They sensed something approaching and grew cautious. The mage quickly cast a detection spell to confirm the presence. The mage cast a detection spell, creating a glowing barrier. They sensed movement ahead and prepared to flush it out. A small, chubby creature suddenly appeared, looking adorable. While one found it cute, another exclaimed it looked delicious. The group feels lucky to encounter a Milarodron on their first expedition. The mage warns she hasn't used distortion magic yet. The creature appears cute, but they know its true value. They quickly defeat the Milarodron, gaining experience points. Its hide is rare, and its tendons are valuable as magic materials. The group discovers it dropped a mysterious mirror. They realize the mirror can open hidden spaces. Everyone is impressed by how handy the item is. The mage admits she doesn't fully know how it works. Suddenly, the mirror reacts to mana, startling her. The group decides to start with binding magic. The mage prepares to channel mana again. They move carefully through the canyon. The party braces themselves for battle. Monsters respawn and spill into the dungeon. Many wandering outlaws appear in the chaos. The team wonders where the monsters are coming from. Mana stone drop rates have greatly increased. Essence drops are more plentiful than before. One member uses the skill Gigantify. They charge into the encroaching zone, facing waves of enemies. The warrior's strikes cut down enemies fiercely. His attacks resemble a relentless kind of stimulation. His battle sense is far beyond normal measure. Akira unleashes an icy blizzard spell. The monsters are frozen solid by the attack. The mage warns they are running out of mana. Less than 1/3 of their energy remains. The leader orders support magic only. The fighter clashes with another beast. The warrior recalls being pushed to his limits, fighting with only basic attacks. He notices the mana stones appear unusually dark in color. He explains they are under a double reward event. The mage asks to wait before collecting the mana stones. She admits she has run out of mana and needs time to recover. 5 minutes later, glowing mana stones appear. The girl is asked how long it will take to recover her mana. She answers it could take more than a day. they discover a rare fire-type Tier 7 essence. The warrior is told to leave the essence behind as it's not suitable for him. She explains only one essence can be taken out using distortion magic. The group realizes essences are extremely rare and valuable. She admits information beyond the 5th floor is very difficult to obtain. They ask a man if he can sense any portals. He replies that he can faintly sense one far away. The group begins moving in the indicated direction. The leader explains the portal is likely the exit. They must head opposite if they want to find something valuable. He recalls seeing a faint portal in the mirror. The group decides to move forward together. They continue their battles, defeating multiple monsters. Over 3 days, they fight constantly without rest. The forced marches exhaust both stamina and mana. Because of that, they experience several close calls. Meanwhile, the story shifts, showing Jackpool waiting. Everyone focuses on earning gold by trading mana stones. It is the morning of day 27 in the labyrinth. The New Wave clan controls the area. A portal glows brightly, signaling a shift change. The group prepares for their next mission. One member remarks there seem to be fewer monsters. Suddenly, a soldier shouts that Bertas is in danger. The captain rushes to see what happened. Bertas and his men are ambushed by monsters. The captain orders everyone to take their positions. A terrifying red demon hand emerges from the portal. The soldiers are shocked, staring at the monstrous figure. A short while ago, the burning forest mirror of the reverse world appeared. The group notices fewer monsters than expected. They remain cautious, knowing it's still the wilderness. Suddenly, strange noises echo from the forest. A giant beast begins to emerge. One member worries about it breaking out. Explosions erupt as the creature forces its way through. The monster revealed is a chimera type called Rika. Its strength is far beyond ordinary monsters. The warrior blocks its powerful strike. He realizes its power surpasses even trolls. Confidently, he notes this monster guarantees an essence drop. A healer worries if Mr. Yandel is okay. He insists he can hold out. The monster attacks with heavy blows. Others tell Yandel to retreat. He continues to block the strikes. Raven closely observes the battle. The monster's skill, Scar of Explosion, triggers blasts. Its wings of greed absorb energy to heal itself. It summons demons through the Legion of Hatred skill. Finally, it unleashes a powerful destruction ray. The group decides it's time to act. Arua casts a powerful Tier 5 lightning spear. A man unleashes hazardous substance. Together, they defeat Bertas. His Tier 5 essence drops. The group wonders what to do with it. Raven calmly states he will absorb it. The essence appears, glowing brightly. Raven suggests Anea should take it. Shocked, Anea asks why she was chosen. The cat girl confidently says she knew it. They mention the value being around 6 million stones. Anea thinks that's too low for its worth. Raven tells her not to worry and to experiment with it. Another member hints they might find treasure later. The decision is made Anea will absorb the essence. She successfully fuses with Bertas' essence. Raven instructs her to test her new skills. Nervously, Anea agrees to try. Anea tries summoning demons but fails. She attempts another spell and fails again. Frustrated, she pushes harder. A golden light suddenly shines from her. This time, the spell succeeds. The cat girl is shocked by the bright light. Large wings burst out from Anaya's back. Excited, she shouts that she now has wings. She wonders if she has become a Valkyrie. She proudly shows her wings to Bjorn. Filled with confidence, she takes a step forward. Anaya tries to fly but struggles in the air. She admits she can't control herself. Bjorn points out she's inexperienced. Suddenly, monsters begin approaching. Bjorn sees it as the perfect chance to test her powers. He yells for Anaya to charge. Anaya rushes forward at his command. The monsters roar and attack fiercely. She counters with a blast of holy energy. Explosions erupt, pushing the monsters back. The cat girl comments on Anaya's surprising strength. Bjorn acknowledges her efforts with approval. The narrator notes that using the essence greatly enhanced Anaya's combat abilities. The group gathers around the glowing stones. Bjorn assures Anya not to worry, as they'll take care of her. A timer shows only 12 hours left until the dungeon shuts down. They discover a massive stone monument. Bjorn explains it's part of the expedition's purpose. He recalls how he once just followed along in situations like this. Nina feels the monument might be just a decoy. Bjorn insists they don't have much time. Suddenly, Nina spots something nearby. They approach what looks like a small house. Inside, it feels creepy and unsettling. Raven discovers something unusual upstairs. To their shock, Anya finds a book that wasn't supposed to exist in the game. Anya reads an ancient language from the book. The text warns of a disaster that could engulf the world. It urges the reader to find the hidden basement. The group is shocked by the revelation. They realize someone may have been researching dimensional summoning. Bjorn quickly suggests checking the basement first. They find a chest hidden inside. Bjorn opens it carefully. Inside, they see a glowing red orb. It turns out to be a bound item. Anya takes possession of it. The next day, they bring it to a trading company. The merchant remarks that the orb is extremely rare, usually only owned by powerful clans. The merchant explains the orb is called the Orb of Fire. It increases fire damage within a set radius. To activate it, one must chant a trigger word. He writes down the word so they won't forget. Shocked, the group realizes its immense power. The merchant nervously assures them he didn't mean harm. He sweats, realizing how serious the item is. Finally, he gives them the trigger word card. He politely asks where they obtained it. They refuse to reveal its origin and leave. Outside, Raven notes that the orb is treated as a shared item due to its range. He says he'll use the orb for the sake of the team. She asks why he turned down the merchant's offer. She angrily reminds him about the book and insists it must remain secret. She plans to analyze it later and shock the mages. He decides to investigate the labyrinth for answers. She smiles, declaring she will stay by his side. The group calculates their earnings, with each member receiving millions of stones. She asks about the cost of the essence, making another member panic. They realize 4 million stones must be deducted and shared. He decides to cover the cost, offering to deduct it from his own share. Misha promises to cover it and plans to get repayment from Einar later. Einar is shocked when told he won't receive anything today. She panics, realizing all her money is gone. The breakdown shows her debt, totaling 11.5 million stones. Einar laments ending up in debt despite working hard, while her teammates comfort her. The team acknowledges Einar's effort and increases her distribution share to 20%. The leader reflects that it feels unfair since he guided and supported them heavily. He thinks he deserves at least 30% of the share. Bjorn decides to build his foundation on the 5th floor for a year before moving to the 6th. He knows progress will slow since the 6th floor requires more than combat strength. Meanwhile, news spreads that 471 people died on the 4th floor due to a raider attack. Misha rushes in, announcing that the royal family issued a public notice for explorers. A notice reveals the no-hack subjugation plan, offering great rewards for Tier 6 explorers and above. The benefits include tax exemptions, payments, and even a royal essence, tempting many. Bjorn recalls Lee Beek Ho's warning not to join such forces, no matter the reward. He firmly decides not to participate, avoiding being caught in a dangerous conflict. Bjorn decides to speak with Raven and Abman first, easing some of the tension. The girl explains that Einar sees this as a chance to boost his reputation. Bjorn leaves the matter to her and heads out. Meanwhile, the blonde girl views the notice as a war and refuses to get involved in such a power struggle. Raven considers joining but changes his mind, thinking about future tax breaks after his baby is born. Bjorn decides against participating in the subjugation and suggests checking the community for more information. Raven invites him to a 5th floor explorers meetup, saying networking could be useful. Though not fond of socializing, Bjorn agrees and heads to the meeting spot at District 8, 10 p.m. The explorers meetup gave him insight into how others thought and operated. Some recognized him as the Barbarian from the 3rd floor fight, though others dismissed him as just a rookie. A drunk adventurer mocked him, catching his attention. Another warned Pepe not to associate with such a crude barbarian, saying it would lower his level. Golden Sun mocked barbarians, calling them brainless, which provoked Yandel. Golden Sun sneered, claiming Yandel was scared of being beaten by a rookie. Yandel coldly warned that smashing his skull would leave him unable to think at all. Yandel walked his drunk friend home safely and told him to rest. On his way back, he felt the lingering effects of drinking. The next day, he was asked whether he would join the subjugation. Yandel firmly replied that his team decided not to participate. The woman expressed relief that Yandel wasn't getting involved with the royal family's dangerous affairs. Yandel was surprised to hear about the royal family and was asked to pretend he hadn't heard. She shyly admitted her concern, thanking him before resting. Later, Yandel decided he needed to research more within the community. Yandel returned home late, looking slightly uneasy as he opened the door. Bear Man greeted him, asking why he smelled of alcohol and came back so late. Yandel explained briefly about attending the meetup. Bear Man acknowledged his effort, teasing that he now sounded like a real team leader. Bear Man noticed the paper bag in Yandel's hand and asked about it. Yandel explained he bought apple skewers from the night market, saying they might like it. She teased him, comparing him to a dad who cares for his kids. Embarrassed, she quickly apologized, realizing her words made things awkward. Flustered, she hit herself and called her words stupid. To change the mood, she quickly started eating the apple skewer happily. Yandel quietly watched the leftover skewers on the table. Still, he couldn't shake off his lingering thoughts. She quietly enjoyed the apple skewer. Another girl mumbled about apple skewers in her sleep. Looking at the night sky, he thought to himself it wasn't so bad. Soon after, life became busier as Einar was told to go for his engraving, though he had no money. After 3 days, Einar completed her 3rd stage engraving. Her engraving was Slaughterer, giving her the passive skill devour to restore soul power. Meanwhile, Misha spent most of her earnings again on buying beasts' blood. Misha finally achieved her first soul beast awakening, gaining the authority blessing of the glacier. This new power greatly reduced the cost of using ice-related skills and items. Bjorn reflected that perhaps it was a reward for all their hardships, as things had gone smoothly since reaching the 5th floor. Meanwhile, he continued guide training with Rottmiller, though it came at a cost. Rottmiller suggested that after training Bjorn, he might even open a proper training center. On the 15th day post-dungeon, the group gathered together for dinner. Bjorn questioned how someone always knew where he was, and she teasingly called it fairy intuition. Misha grew annoyed, accusing him of just wandering around until he ran into her. Misha and Einar both snapped at Bjorn, calling him a bragger. The girl tried to calm them down, hoping they could get along better as future teammates. Later that night, Bjorn reflected on his tiring day. As the main event began, his soul resonated and was drawn into a specific world. Bjorn entered the chat room called Long Live Korean Independence and was greeted by his brother. His brother quickly mentioned he was in the middle of a fight and warned him about the upcoming subjugation.